Welcome back to Pen and Reel. I'm your host, Uncle Joel, and today we're going to talk about issue 1 of The Three Jokers. This is written by Geoff Johns with art by Jason Fabok. Now, the initial setup for Three Jokers came several years ago in the Justice League story Darkseid War. And in that event, Batman wound up sitting in the Mobius chair, the omniscient throne of Metron of the New Gods. And this chair contains all knowledge in the universe. And so, naturally, when Batman sits in it, he wants to know the identity of the Joker. Only, the chair tells him that there is not one Joker, but 3 Jokers. And shortly after this, Geoff Johns verified that he was going to be telling the story of the 3 Jokers in a Batman-centric tale. And so we've been waiting for 4 or 5 years for that story. And finally we have it here. Now, unfortunately, the long gestation period for this comic has made it such that it doesn't fit tightly within continuity. And so this has been shifted to DC's more mature imprint, Black Label. As a result, it's not really clear how this affects continuity, or if it's even going to be in continuity at all. And immediately, we get a glimpse of just how outside of continuity this is, particularly in that we see Alfred stitching up Batman. Now, this book is being published after Tom King's run on the Batman title, and we saw in that series the death of Alfred. So the fact that Alfred is alive here stitching up Batman is proof that this is not in continuity. Or at the very least, this takes place couple years ago. But if it takes place a couple years ago, how is this going to affect current continuity? And yeah, we get into a lot of different complications like that, and so I think it's easier to just say this is out of continuity for the time being. And so in this opening scene, we see Alfred stitching up Batman. We see a ton of different scars all over his body. And simultaneously with those scars, we see flashback images to how he received those scars. From battles with Killer Croc, to Scarecrow, to the Joker, to the Joker, to the Joker. And it just becomes increasingly evident that Batman sees the Joker as his most significant enemy. One of the things that makes this book so good is one of Geoff Johns' strengths, in that he really focuses on the psychology of the characters, and really delves into their personality and creates this very personal tale. And so while it's not this big, grand, epic story that you might see in other writers' runs, such as James Tynion's current Joker War run, this one actually feels far more significant to me, in that it really delves into the psychology of the characters and shows how they are going to progress going forward, making this book feel far more significant, even though it's smaller scale. And yeah, there are some things about this book that do feel a little bit off to me, such as there's one sequence where Barbara Gordon is in the gym and she's running on a treadmill, and it shows that she is just so intense and focused that she winds up wearing down the treadmill. And somebody else in the gym witnesses this happens, and he comments that, oh, she wore down another one. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think a regular human just running on a treadmill really fast or really hard is going to break a treadmill. So that felt a little bit ridiculous to me. But, you know, again, I don't really know enough about treadmills, so maybe it's possible. But this sequence serves to show just how much Barbara's paralysis in the past has really affected her psychologically, and how she still thinks about and reflects on Joker shooting her as he did in The Killing Joke. And so not only do we get Batman's reflections on how the Joker is significant to him, we also get Batgirl's reflection on just how much the Joker has affected her life. And then from there, we shift to the Red Hood, Jason Todd, who is a third character who is, mildly affected by the Joker from the fact that he was, killed by him years ago. So it works really well that Geoff Johns decided to use the 3 main characters who have been most significantly affected by the Joker to be the primary characters who are exploring this mystery of these 3 Jokers. It creates a very strong and significant dichotomy, even just psychologically, in how you're going to read the book. It has set up a 3-on-3 scenario. And then the book makes it quite clear that there definitely are 3 Jokers at play here. This isn't some trick, as we actually get to see all 3 Jokers in the room together, talking and interacting. And then there is a strong implication that they create new Jokers as necessary. So it's entirely possible that all of these different iterations of Joker that we have seen over the years were not all one and the same, that they were new Jokers being created in order to face Batman as the times change. And as the book proceeds towards its end, we continue with the very deep personal exploration, and this is very much a character-driven story. such that the characters and their personalities really drive the plot forward and serve to inform how it plays out. And so we get to see Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood all viewing and reflecting upon the situation at hand in completely different manners. Batman's trying to be very cold and analytical. Batgirl is trying to be very compassionate. And the Red Hood is very driven by his anger. And so the way the book ends, it really leaves you wanting more and creates this anticipation for the second issue, as you definitely want to see the fallout of the events of this book. If this was in continuity, there would be major ramifications for the characters going forward. So at this point, with just the first issue, I'm really hopeful that this will eventually be considered in continuity, and I would like to see how this would play out in other books, particularly Batgirl and like Red Hood and the Outlaws. But as this is only issue 1, we'll see what happens with issue 2. And personally, I'm definitely looking forward to it. I think this is a great first issue, and I'm really excited for the rest of the series. And regardless of its long-term impact on the rest of the Batman books, I do think this is a very interesting mystery, sets up a very interesting scenario, and is a very good exploration of these 3 main characters. So if you enjoy Batman, if you enjoy Joker, especially if you enjoy Batgirl or the Red Hood, I would highly recommend this book. If you come back tomorrow, I'll be reviewing issue number 2. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss that. And be sure to check out all my Dark Knight's Death Metal coverage, as well as other comic book and geek-related reviews and discussions. If you could help me out by hitting like, I'd really appreciate it. And until next time, this is Uncle Joel saying, stay tangible.